Hey, how's it going guys? Jack Matter with the Toasty Bros, and today we have a $300 gaming PC.
Yes, you heard that right. We are building a $300 computer. We just built a $250 one, and now we're building a $300 one. And this one might actually be capable of some light live streaming. But before we talk about this PC, let's hear a word from today's sponsor.
Today's video is brought to you by Silicon Power and their US70 Gen 4 NVMe SSD, featuring great price to performance with read speeds up to 5,000 megabytes per second and write speeds up to 4,400 megabytes per second, being built with TLC flash and also coming in capacities of 1 and 2 terabytes. We love to use Silicon Power SSDs in our gaming PCs because of their value for money offering compared to other SSD manufacturers. If you're looking for a no-nonsense quality NVMe Gen 4 SSD for your next gaming PC build, then you should look no further than the US70 from Silicon Power. Check the link down below to learn more, and special thanks to Silicon Power for sponsoring today's video.
So as Matt mentioned, if you want to go $50 to maybe $75 cheaper, we did do another video a few days back. We'll have a link for that. But if you want to spend $50 to $75 more, this one packs an i7 and an even better graphics card,
which we were able to pick up for a pretty decent price on eBay. Do you remember what that price was?
It was like between $150 and $170. That's about what they go for.
So it's not an amazing deal, but the 960 features one important thing, an NVENC encoder. So it's not the newest NVENC encoder, but it can actually help you in live streaming, which we will be doing a streaming setup on this thing later on the channel, so stay subscribed for that. But what we're gonna do today is walk you through how to upgrade this thing, basically how to slap in the GPU and the SSD we got, what this PC basically features, and just give you all a general guide for how you can do this at home. So let's just get into it, shall we? But first, a word from second sponsor, third sponsor, fourth sponsor, fifth sponsor.
So what we have here is an HP ProDesk. It's basically HP's Optiplex. They have a few different ProDesk in the lineup. I think this is like the G1, G3. They have a bunch of different G1s. A little bit harder to remember than the Optiplexes, but you get a full-size tower. This is like an MT basically. It does come with a hard drive. I honestly don't remember what it is, but I'm assuming it's a 500 gig or 1 terabyte. We'll confirm in a little bit. Single stick of RAM. That's not very good, but you know, it is what it is. I think it's an 8 gig. Yeah, it's an 8 gig stick, so we might end up adding a second one, but for benchmark sakes, we'll probably keep this the same. It actually came with a graphics card. I didn't even know it came with a graphics card. I don't know what it is. I know that it has like one of those really weird DVI that we have no cables for. Under this cooler, we have an i7 4790, which is a pretty decent step up from that i5 that was in the previous system, because this is 4 cores and 8 threads rather than a 4-core 4-thread. Really, the only disadvantage of this one is the fact that this did not come with 2 sticks of RAM. It only does have 2 slots as well, which might be a disadvantage for you. The other system did have dual channel already in it. You could go up to quad. This one you can only go up to 2 sticks. But as far as cooling and everything goes, you have all the fans you need. We will be adding some stuff to this. Hopefully our graphics are actually fits. I guess we could real quick just see. That is going to be a tight fit. But what we'll be able to do, and they kind of designed it like this, is get our graphics card back here with removing some cables and fit it in. The good news with these mid towers is you do have full-size PCI lanes. That's something you really got to watch out for if you decide to replicate this, is make sure that it has full-size lanes, because there's 2 sizes. You have full-size PCI and low-profile PCI, which would be half the size of this. So just make sure you keep that in mind when trying to replicate something like this. Now Matt's going to go ahead and talk about the upgrades.
Now for the graphics card that Jackson mentioned, this is an MSI GTX 960. It's a nice looking card. I was expecting like an OEM 960, but we got a aftermarket MSI one with their Frozer cooler, so looking really nice. Definitely overkill for a computer that we're going to have to put the side panel on. You won't be able to see the way it looks, but still pretty decent card. 2 fans will run nice and cool, and it has 5 video outs, which is definitely better than the last one, which only had 3 videos out. So you know, you got that. If you want to run 5 monitors, wouldn't recommend it though. In terms of storage upgrades, I know Jackson mentioned that he originally budgeted with just the hard drive, so he's cheating a little bit here. Guys, like, I'm being honest, he's cheating. This is a 120 gig SSD that he's going to use for the boot drive. It allows to install Windows. It's going to be nice and snappy. You can use any other SSD you want. Link it down below. Will be an affiliate link. It does help us out. And this will allow your PC just to be overall much more usable than with a standard hard drive, because it's going to be nice and, well, fast. That's why you get SSDs. But in terms of being able to power this thing, with these like OEM power supplies, they normally don't come with the power required for the graphics card. This looks like it needs an 8-pin, so it does draw a little bit more power than the last system we had, but it should be perfectly fine by using one of these SATA to 6-pin adapters, which again will be linked in the description down below. It looks like we do, or maybe, yeah, we have an extra SATA power up here. Actually, I don't know, will we have an extra one? Yes, we will. We have an extra one up here that may end up being the same situation. We're gonna have to unplug it from the CD drive to actually be able to use it. But again, who uses a CD drive? But it's easy, plug it in there, and then when we get to installing the GPU, I'll show you how to do it. It's very straightforward. But yeah, I think what we're gonna do, this thing doesn't look very dirty to where we need to like go air compressor mode on it, but we'll probably check the thermal paste, make sure if it needs to be swapped or not, because that's a very important thing to do to make sure your temperatures are under control, and then go ahead and show you how to install the SSD in the graphics card and get to test it. All right, so this is gonna be very simple to do. What we're gonna do is change the thermal paste. Now, all you have to do is unscrew this cooler. You will need a couple tools, obviously. Thermal paste, this, alcohol swabs to clean it off, and a screwdriver. Should be all you need. So what we're gonna do is, oh my God, it uses use a flathead. All right, use a flathead screwdriver. Don't do what I just did.
He's a flathead.
You're a flathead. So what we're gonna do is do opposing corners, because when you are, well, removing this cooler, there's a lot of pressure on the CPU. You don't wanna put any, well, unnecessary pressure on any corner of the CPU to potentially cause bent pins or just damage to the CPU in general. So opposing corners, best way to unscrew this thing. All right, there we go. Thermal paste, looking kind of yucky. Not gonna lie, wait, I just realized, look at this thing. This cooler uses like a 4-pin. That's interesting. That's pretty proprietary.
Beefy.
That is definitely proprietary. Wait, what the hell? Okay, it's wrapped around that. Wait, what? No, that's not. Wait, no, that's not for that. Is it? I just unplugged something else. It looked like it was for that. I look really dumb right now. All right, so let's go ahead and unplug the actual CPU cooler, which is standard. Look at that, standard fan connector. It doesn't use a 4-pin. That'd be really weird if it used a 4-pin. But we're going to clean this thing up. The thermal paste is, well, not the greatest. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but it is very, very dry.
You know what's funny? This isn't actually proprietary.
Yeah, it really isn't. It looks like
4-pin and a standard CPU 4-pin.
You can K-swap it.
That's an advantage.
You could K-swap it. So let's go ahead and clean this thing up. Oh my goodness, this thing is caked on. It's an i7 4790, 4 cores and 8 threads. Should be a lot better for playing games that are
ball
more
slapping power.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean the CPU cooler off now, because we don't want to just clean off the CPU. And it looks like, well, it's not that bad. Should be pretty easy just to go. All right, so that looks pretty good. Cleaned up, looking ready to add some thermal paste. This is our very super special MX5 thermal compound, and guess what? It's blue. Look at this. Don't believe me? Look at that, it's blue. Look, I did better than Jackson last time. You know?
Yeah, I added like way too much.
Way too much. That is the proper amount of thermal paste, ladies and gentlemen. And all we're gonna do is put this handy dandy little heatsink back on here. Be sure to plug in your 4-pin power. And then you should be good to screw this back in the same way you unscrewed it. That's good, look at that. Oh, no, not ready. We gotta plug this back in. Hold up, hold up. Honestly, I've done that before. Just leave it like that.
All good
there
to
you
go.
And this needs to go. You actually need your CPU power. That's kind of important.
You got any thermal paste but no CPU power.
Yeah, it's, you know, not gonna work very well. Now, what I'm going to do is install the SSD, which, all right, so we'll just do this. This isn't like the most professional way to do it. Honestly, the least professional way to do it would just be using some double-sided tape, and that's what I would probably do in this situation. But if you want to have it be a little bit more sturdy, at least get a screw in. Again, it's an SSD, no moving parts, so it will be fine.
That's the wrong screw.
That is a core. I pulled it from the motherboard one. This one's the wrong thread. Oh my God.
Wrong one, buddy.
God damn it.
I've used these before.
I have used these before. This is what I get for trusting the motherboard section.
It
It's
just
just
didn't
not
go
right.
in very easy, right?
It's just not right. And I just threw the screw. This is how you build a PC with pros. All right, and look at that. Nice and in there.
It's an articulating SSD.
Yeah, it's nice and articulating. It looks great. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take this extra, I don't know why they looped it like this, but here we go. We're gonna unloop that. Plug in this beautiful SATA power like so. And then it looks like we're gonna need another SATA cable.
Our handy dandy SATA shelf.
You all have these at home. You all have SATA cable shelves at home.
Yes.
So don't worry about it. You have one, it's fine. So I'll take that. We'll go ahead and swap these. Let me see if I can see which is which. All right, so we're gonna move this SATA 0 on the hard drive to this. You probably could just done it from here, but whatever. Then we're gonna plug this in to SATA 0. All right, now we'll just shove that there, and that's there. That's beautiful, looks professional. Probably have to take it out to install the graphics card, but you know what? That's Jackson's problem now.
Mm-hmm. So this is pretty simple. This one actually does use a screw. HP, what are you doing? Yeah. I'm gonna go back in time and say, why'd you guys do the screw mechanism? I actually do like the screw better though, because those plastic ones that Optiplexes typically use, they break really easily.
I actually saw I was struggling with it.
Yeah, and I feel like we've broken so many, they're just so fragile. So this is a 2-lane card. So preemptively, I just know that I'm going to have to break this off. So this is going to be definitely the hard part. I think I can just go in sideways.
Yeah. Look, it comes. It's a feature.
I'm using the articulate. Look at that.
It's a feature.
I had to do that to make that work.
What did I tell you?
The articulation really came in clutch there. These things never line up, like ever. Like, can I even put this back in with this here? Oh, okay, this goes over. Yeah, that goes back in for the most part. You know what? I don't even think this is actually meant to be screwed into, but it's kind of taking it. So it actually screwed in. It's actually tight. So we got that good. Now we need an 8-pin. I don't recall.
Did you not get an 8-pin?
No, I think these are 8-pin. Yeah, they're 8-pin.
Oh, you did.
They're the 6+2. So, and that's actually crazy. It only needs a single SATA. Is that really what it needs? I don't know. It might need more, but. And also, I'm
thinking you're probably just going to have to unplug, or is it just that long?
It'll reach with this unplug probably. So we take this, put this in the SATA power, and that adapts it to an 8-pin.
Can you plug that in?
I don't know.
Articulating
SSD. Yep, came in really clutch for that. So now we have that in. So in theory, this is ready to go, and articulating SSD came in clutch. It actually is really sturdy, so like it's not going anywhere. I am gonna tuck this SATA back in, because we do have two pretty big fans here that can easily get hit by other things. So now all we have left to do is go ahead and load games up on this SSD and try her out.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have this $300 PC all booted up and ready to go, let's talk about a couple benchmarks real quick. Now we decided to test this PC in a couple of titles, those being Fortnite, Chivalry 2, Rainbow Six Siege, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. First up, in Fortnite on performance mode, we averaged over 200 plus FPS, but with a caveat. We are still experiencing the same issues that we did with our $250 PC and another PC we tested on the channel. When running in performance mode with only 8 gigs of RAM, the textures are very slow to load in no matter what changes you do to the performance mode settings. Therefore, I declare 16 gigs of RAM the standard. I'm only kind of kidding, but for Fortnite, honestly, on performance mode, you do want to get 16 gigs of RAM. It will help you a ton in terms of loading in those textures and give you a better gaming experience, but still getting 200 plus FPS on a $300 PC in a game like Fortnite, being able to play on a 144 Hz monitor, let alone, again, it does not make a whole lot of sense. You'd be paying half the price of this PC on just a monitor, but I mean, if you really wanted to, you could. You still can actually have a decent gaming experience. That GTX 960 and i7 4790 works pretty well together, but making this system have 16 gigs of RAM would probably take it to the next level. Next up, in Chivalry 2 on low settings, we averaged 70 plus FPS. This was a decent increase over the $250 PC that we did with the RX 460 and the i5 4590. We're still rocking 4th gen Intel here, but a better GPU slightly. Same amount of VRAM does allow the PC to get 70 plus FPS as opposed to 60 FPS on the older PC. Chivalry 2 is a very fun game that you should definitely consider playing, and the 960 is very capable of playing it even though it only has 2 gigs of VRAM. You'll see later on the benchmark run where that 2 gigs of VRAM starts to become a bottleneck, but 2 gig VRAM cards are much easier to get right now because they're not as desirable to cryptocurrency miners because they want to have at least 4 or 8 gigs of VRAM. So these 2 gig cards, albeit they're not great for high-end gaming, they're decent enough to play games like Fortnite, Chivalry 2, Rainbow Six Siege, and other esports titles, and you can actually buy these things at, well, decent prices. They are still pretty expensive compared to what they used to be. You could pick up 960s for well under $100 all day, every day, but it still goes to show you can actually play some games and buy these cards. Next up, in Rainbow Six Siege on medium settings with a built-in benchmark, we averaged 140 FPS. Not too shabby for medium settings at 1080p in Rainbow Six Siege, getting a high refresh rate gaming experience if you really wanted to. The 960 and 4790 do make a whole lot of sense together, and if you guys want to see this thing live stream, yeah, you heard me right, we're going to try to live stream on this thing, probably by adding another 8 gigs of RAM and running with that NVENC encoder on the 960. You should definitely subscribe because we're going to be doing that very, very soon, and it's going to be one of our cheapest streaming setups possible to show you that you can actually live stream on a really tight budget. And last but certainly not least, the game that I had a feeling was going to push this PC to its limits, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and on low settings we averaged 50 FPS, which was actually way better than I thought it would be. I honestly thought we were looking more towards like 30 or 40 FPS, but that i7 4790 really carried the system in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, making it somewhat playable for AAA titles on lower settings. In conclusion, this PC for $300 is great. Is it a looker? No, it's not pretty at all. Just like the 250 PC, it is, well, in a office PC and it's just been upgraded. But if you can pick up these deals and you want to play games at a decent rate and maybe get into some light live streaming, as I mentioned in a future video, just stay subscribed for that, you might be able to pull it off for $300 like we did. So definitely check those links down below, do some deal hunting, and just know with some patience, you could easily replicate this PC at home if you want to. So now we finished the benchmarking section in today's video. How about we bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
Alright guys, so this PC performed really well for $300 and you really couldn't ask for much more at that price range.
The market's a mess right now, and for $300, again, it can play pretty much any game you throw at it. And the fact that you can pick this stuff up at around the same price pretty easily if you do some deal hunting on places like eBay or your local markets, I mean, it's a good option for those wanting to get into PC gaming on a budget right now, given what's going on in the world. Yes, there were better options a few years ago, but that's the past and this is right now, so this is what you can do.
So earlier we talked about the previous build that was $250, that'll be used in a full gaming setup. Well, this $300 PC will be used in a full streaming and gaming setup. So really two cool videos coming out soon.
So if you guys want to buy any of the stuff mentioned in today's video, links in the description down below will be affiliate links and they will help us out. The PC will be a generic search on eBay to similar computers. You're not gonna be able to find the exact listing because there's a lot of sellers out there, but that will point you in the right direction. And yeah, use the links down below. They do help us out.
So if you guys haven't already, don't forget to check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
And hey, if you guys really like this shirt, you can pick one up yourself.
Check the link in the description down below to our Teespring store where we sell custom Toasty Bros merch with a lot of different memes, designs, and some really special ones at the very bottom of the store. So take a look. See you guys later. Goodbye.